Finally, the man himself, who I've met a year ago, actually. Bear that in mind. Think about that. That was nearly a year ago, actually. I think it was a year ago now, no?
It was, Michael. It was indeed. And you know, if any of you viewers out there need to know what a slick guy Michael Ringer is, I'll tell you, the day that we were gonna go out on the town in Malaga, we get a message to say, guys, there's no commercial flights from Alicante to Malaga, so I'm renting a private jet. I'll see you at 8 o'clock. So there you go. That's quite the first impression.
I was 15 minutes late, actually.
That's
I was still 15 minutes late. No, that was insanity, though, because
yeah.
It was there was no trains, right? There were no trains. There were no like buses, the cars. There was nothing. And originally, the day before, rather, when everything was cancelled, I'm like, okay, shit, because of this massive storm. I'm like, okay, shit. Well, how am I going to get there if there's no flights? There's no flights. There's no cars. There's no trains. I can't do anything. So I promised my guys that I'm going to be there. So I need to go.
Get there in style.
Yeah. At first, I called up like you know those tiny planes that are like the sort of biplane. Well, not the biplane ones. The single motors, right, with the propellers. I went on one of those for my birthday last year, and I called those guys up. I'm like, hey, can you guys take me the night before? And they're like, yeah, no problem. It costs you X amount. So I'm like, okay, problem solved, right? Problem solved. Wake up the next morning. It's now, I think it was about 20 to 1 in the afternoon. And they call me. I get a phone call. They're like, hey, you've got to be in like half an hour. We know that, but we can't take you. The storm is it's too much. We can't take you. If we go in the plane's going to crash. And I'm trying to figure out this way, that way. Maybe we could go to this airport. No, can't go there. Can't go there. No time to come back for this. Finally, I'm like, all right, fuck this. So I can't remember which of my friends I called, but I called one of my friends. He was just like, dude, that's ridiculous. The amount of effort that you've put in just to be a man of your word is a joke. You like the next thing that you're going to tell me, Michael, is that you're going to get a private jet. Bro, I'll call you back. I'll call you back. Next thing that I know, I'm on a private jet for the first time in my life. It was a very, very fun evening. We'll keep probably the rest under wraps, but
well, look, being a man of your word is of the highest importance.
Yeah, absolutely.
So and much appreciated anyway.
Well, the funny thing about you is that today you went and saw a Shaolin monk to train, right? What's that about? Tell us a little bit about that, because we haven't even spoken about this yet. So what's going on?
Yeah. So, well, this was my first time back training since all of the lockdown carry on. So, like, I've been training twice a week, 3 times a pop for 5 years before that with Master Yen Shin, who is a Shaolin monk of I think it's 38th generation, and he grew up in the Shaolin temple in Henan province in China as well. So he is the real deal. He's like a real life Bruce Lee, and he's a great guy altogether. So many years ago, I saw the Shaolin monks perform a show called The Wheel of Life. And if anybody has seen that, I mean, you'll know that it's absolutely fantastic. They fly through the air. They're performing these superhuman feats. It's just incredible. So I was quite fascinated with the Shaolin for a long time. And as well, I'm into rap, so obviously Wu-Tang and the
Well,
Shaolin. So
obvious.
yeah, and then one day I was in the gym and I saw a little poster saying, that this guy's here and that you can do this training. And I never looked back. And because really what I wanted to do was find out how they do all those incredible acrobatic feats and all of these things and these kung fu moves and whatnot. And yeah, now I know it's a lot of really painful training and stretching, and it's not as glamorous as it looks on stage, and put it that way. But every so often, when it's just to the point where like you can't take hold in a certain position or whatever he's putting you through, is start talking. He's like a philosopher, and he'll just explain the training as a parallel for life and various metaphors, and then at the end he'll go, and that is Shaolin style. I'm just, my inner 12-year-old is just there. Brilliant. So yeah, I'm fascinated with it.
Is that's so? I mean, where do I even start with questions from that? So why?
It's down the road here. I'm in rural Ireland, and he's like 2 villages over. It's just a stroke of luck.
I mean, that there's lucky, and then there's finding a Shaolin monk in the middle of rural Ireland, lucky, yeah. Right? I mean, why? Was it just like intrigue? Was it something more than that? Was it kind of like that inner 12-year-old coming out and just being like,
for me to study under him?
Yeah.
Well, a critical thing was if you see them in real life, like the kind of things that they do on that stage show called The Wheel of Life. It's you could look it up on YouTube. Like they balance horizontally on spears, and they throw pins through panes of glass, and just wild stuff. It's incredible. And yeah, I wanted to know what it was all about. And yeah, so I got 2.5 hours solid knowing what it was about today, and it's rough, man. It is rough.
Well, I must say you're still dapper as ever, though.
Muchas gracias, amigo. Yeah, it's not like you know the way if you're going to a boxing gym, right? It's you're learning boxing, right? You're learning the sweet science, so you're gonna get good at that. Kung Fu is different. It's expansive in terms of like there's elements of Chinese medicine, Chinese philosophy, meditation, stretching is a huge part of it, and like conditioning, and the punches and the kicks and the acrobatics are all kind of secondary to the stances and the developing various attributes. It's far more expansive than just fighting. And then so there are a lot of detractors that say that and they have a point in certain respects. There's a lot of difficult issues with Eastern martial arts facing what we now know as mixed martial arts in the modern Western world. So it's they come up second best in certain respects, but it's not just about fighting. It's about more than that. So if you want to learn fighting, go to a boxing gym or an MMA gym. But this is more all-encompassing kind of way of getting more from life by going through the pain. And he's like a real life Bruce Lee or Mr. Miyagi, one of those, It's a real Shifu. His name is Master, just a quick plug, his name is Master Yen Shin, and he's on kungfu.life. He has a whole host of online courses and a plethora of online courses, and he does summer retreats, and you do weapons like the bow staff. We had one whole summer retreat, and we did the drunken master style.
What the fuck? Is that actually a thing? I thought that was just someone bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
No.
Jesus Christ,
No.
this guy.
The real thing.
I'm going.
Yeah, it was
like I'll see you there. I'll
yeah, but like the Shaolin is 1,500 years old.
Yeah.
Like you know, they've defended China from the Mongols on behalf of the, you know, the dynasties, that rule China. Like, they're serious warriors.
It's insane. The amount of things that I've seen, both in real life and just on YouTube. I mean, it's there's no other way to say it. It's absolutely fucking insane, and they are superhuman. I've seen, like, man, I saw this kid once who was walking up. I can't remember how long the video was, but I was just watching. It must have been at least 20 minutes, half an hour. I'll see if I can find it. If I can find it, I'll link it below. But there was this kid that was walking up. I can't remember how many stairs it was. I think it was maybe 100, maybe 1,000. Paraphrasing. This was years ago. I saw this thing, and the whole thing was videoed. And he's walking up just on the tips of his fingers to the top of this temple, and that was his what's even the word? His entrance into manhood. You know, that was his
rite of passage.
Rite of passage, exactly. I saw that, and I'm like, man, I must have been 14, 15 at this time. I was still doing like crazy shit, still doing cocaine. It was not the best time in my life. But dude, I was watching this. I'm like, bro, I can barely just like do a push-up at this point. Like that was one of many crazy fucking things. So now the question, and the real question, Grant, why is it that you can't fly yet? Because you should be able to fly now.
Yeah, I can barely make it a few. Now it's the things that they can do are elite level. I mean, it's working on the basics is the whole. It's just what I do, because he would say that, you know, yeah, first you're a student and then you become a master, but then the master must always be able to go back and become a student. So he even works on the basics the whole time. And, you know, they're Buddhist monks. He's not Buddhist anymore. He's not a monk anymore. He's married with a kid now. But like the whole point is that all of this training that he's done since, I think he was 8 years old when he entered the monastery or something like that. And I mean, he's the nicest guy you could meet. You know, he's the friendliest, smiliest guy. But there's on the original performance where the Shaolin toured the world, he was the captain. So he was like the #1 guy on the first Shaolin Wheel of Life tour. And there's a YouTube video, it's about 10 minutes long, of him, like, you know, a guy is lying on like 3 sharp swords, and then a bed of nails is put between them. Then he lies on the bed of nails, and then they take a concrete block and like break the block, or like, it's all, you know, insane things like that, and breaking bits of metal on this forehead and whatnot. It's just, not to mention the expertise with the weapons. So yeah, but now, I mean, he's even though he'd be a fearsome opponent, he's, you know, he's just a great chap. So anyway, kungfu.life, that's the one.
Well, I'll put it up. I'll put it up. And so, I mean, long story short, then, why is it that you, at your ripe young age, are going to this? What's the general purpose? Is it trying to sort of, for you to go from the position where you are, which in my humble opinion was master, to going back down into the student in another area of life?
I'm nowhere near master. I'm just like still a student, but I've been a student. Like I did 5 solid years of training, and then I had the break for 2, however many years since the lockdown thing, and now I'm just getting back into it. So really, I was just getting back into it today, but I'll continue doing it for, you know, the foreseeable future anyway, because it's worthwhile, you know.
Yeah. And what is it that you specifically get out of that? Doc's just coming to say hi. But what is it that you've been getting out of it? Is it more of just a physical thing, or is it a mental? Is it physical and mental, spiritual? I mean, what is it that your sort of takeaway is?
Well, I think that the reason that I kept going for the 5 solid years was because I didn't want to let the Shaolin master down. You know what I mean? I wanted to be there to demonstrate that I was committed to learning it. And so that was a factor, but also like it's good for your fitness and your health. And then also there's the kind of entertainment factor, because like, you know, I like kung fu movies and stuff like that. And I think Wu-Tang played a part as well.
You're obsessed. So
yeah, slight obsession, but it's Wayne now, but I'm getting back into it.
Well, it's interesting, man. It's interesting because it's when you text me, you're like, yeah, I might be 2 or 3 minutes late because I've got this Shaolin master. I'm like, Grant, what are you doing? It's a Friday night. You should be out with your family, with the kids, and just enjoying yourself. No, he's still training. And what's that been like for you as well? Because, you know, I've seen many a times over how you've been just as a sort of integral part of just the family. I mean, you really are, as a man, just the pillar of the family. It's like everyone else is sort of resting on you. And how's that been recently? What's that been like? Because that's a very interesting conversation.
Yeah, it's great. I'm married with 2 boys. My wife is from Venezuela, and we live in a village by the sea in Ireland. And one of my boys is going on 3, and the other is 5 months. So yeah, it's like it's domestic bliss, you know. Happy out. It's joyous, you know. We're just in Spain, and my wife's parents live in Spain, so that was nice because I was staying in a hotel 30 seconds away from where the whole family was, which gave me enough of my own space that I could, you know, do my work and have my time to myself. But yeah, I'm literally 30 seconds away if I'm needed for anything. So, you know, like that's I think that's a huge part of life for me to you know, be a father to my boys, and yeah, and a husband to my wife as well. She's great. I met her on the bus.
On the bus.
On the bus, yeah. Sometimes you gotta make moves. I'm sure you know that, Mike.
Well, yeah, that is true. That is very true. Well, how did you meet her? Because obviously Ireland and Venezuela, the two don't really mix so well. I mean, your kids are beautiful, so the mixing it does work. But how the hell did that happen?
Yeah, so one day I left work. I was you know, I'm wearing my suit or whatever. I cross the road and I see her at the bus stop, and I just had one of those moments where I was like, I have to somehow talk to this girl. Like, I have to. But it was really crowded. It was a really busy kind of rush hour evening, and the bus came. It was packed. I went up. I got a seat upstairs, and I don't know. She must have stood downstairs or something, because when people left the bus, there were 2 seats free, one beside me and one behind me. And up she came up the stairs, and I just, she jokes about the face that I made when I saw her.
Typical.
What I was doing was I was putting a tractor beam out saying, like, sit in this seat. And anyway, she did. So I'd been running a very pro Latinas policy up until that point. So I was all about it. And we're happily married now for, I don't know, 5-6 years.
And what's it like when, I mean, because a lot of guys, especially now, like in that kind of a scenario, they would be like, they just shit themselves. They'd shit themselves. They wouldn't know what to do, what to say, how to say it. They wouldn't. And I think a lot of guys just freak the fuck out. The second that they see a really beautiful woman, especially in a public space, then it's like, oh dear, now I'm doubly stressed, because now it's not just my embarrassment, maybe on Tinder, but now I'm going to be embarrassed in front of all of these people in front of me. And I'm on the bus, and I could be sat here for maybe 10-20 minutes, and everyone's going to be knowing how badly I failed. What went through your head in that moment to be able to be like, yeah, no, do you know what's worth it?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Michael, because I literally have never thought, like this, you saying that is the first time it ever entered my mind to think about any of the other people on the bus or what they might think. I think the first thing you got to do is, as a man, is not give a damn what anybody thinks. Just you do you. That's, and I think a lot of people go through life where they're worried about what other people think. Anyway, but I did break a cardinal rule, an unwritten rule of Dublin bus, because generally speaking, on Dublin bus, nobody talks to anybody.
No,
you
can't do it.
You can't do it on a bus. Now, anywhere else you can talk, to your heart's content, but not on a bus. You're all facing the same direction. It's all, let's just get home. And but anyway, the tried and tested maneuver. I just say, where are you from? That starts it off.
Where you're from.
Go from there. But then
it really is.
Yeah, but then on our first date, I didn't get the goodnight kiss, so it was 6 months until our second date, because I wasn't happy about that. No. But anyway, I'm divulging too much.
Not at all. Not at all. This is gold. This is
not kissing and telling.
Not kissing and telling. Well, you didn't kiss on the first date, but it's all right. Yeah. You told us about the second. So what? Because 6 months for a lot of people, 6 months is a lot of time. I mean, someone could really, really sit down for 6 months and be hyper focused and have a completely different life. What the hell was going on for you for those 6 months? Was it just like, what was that like?
I forgot about it. Like I just on to the next one. So it wasn't an issue for me. But I went to Brazil. I went on a big trip to Brazil. In the meantime, she also went home to Venezuela. So she was in a happier place because she met her family and everything when she went to Venezuela. But then when we came back, I literally, saw her WhatsApp picture. She changed her profile picture. And I was like, oh, damn. So that's when I sent her a second message and said, hey, what's up with you and me? What happened that time? Not giving me a goodnight kiss.
And your reply was?
No, my message was, what happened with us that time?
Oh, that was your message?
Yeah, that was my message, yeah.
Oh, she must have been kicking herself.
No, then we went out and then we had a good time and then we're married. So.
Well, she won eventually. That's the main thing, right? I mean, she's got you. She's now got the two beautiful kids.
Boys, yeah.
And
happy outlay.
It's happy life. That's for sure. That is for sure.
Yeah,
And
I
so,
don't subscribe to that whole happy wife, happy life notion.
You do or you don't?
I don't. No way.
Good, because I was. Man, we were about to have revelations.
We're about to end it right now if that's the case.
I was like, right, okay, Grant,
No.
never speak to again.
And guys always say it to you, and when they say it, I'm just like, ah. Anyway.
What? So, in order for you to really make your wife happy, it's actually you have to be happy and you have to be focused.
Yeah.
And what else? I mean, what would you say would really be the sort of core system? Because, like I said before, I mean, for you and your family, I know plenty of, you know, what's been going on, what has been happening since we first met, and like you genuinely are just a reliable pillar for her, and she looks at you as almost like you're as close to God as you can get without actually being God. So how do you do it? I mean, for us it's kind of, and obviously it's a very natural thing for us because we are the types of men that we are. But for you, if you had to sort of whistle it down into, let's just say 5 points, what would be your sort of 5 points that really makes her happy and the relationship happy?
Geez. Well, look, I think that first and foremost, you have to be on your mission. Whatever your mission is in life, you have to be on that first and foremost. And then she has to also understand that you prioritize the kids and her above, you know, any random thing in life. You know, they're your main focal point because you're trying to build something together, and you're on your mission and she's coming along, and she knows that they are your priority. So she's like, okay, I'm going to go with this guy on this mission. He's on the mission, I'm on the bus to the mission with him, and we're having the babies together and everything, and let's just take it all the way. But I'm with him and he's going there.
Yeah, he's driving the bus kind of thing.
Yeah, he's driving the bus. So I think that that's critical. I also think that yeah, like I think that's the main point that I'd make. The main thing that comes to mind, you know, it's not like I wouldn't claim to have any particular, you know, secrets about it. That's the main thing is I would think, you know, and stay on your mission. Now, at the same time, you know, you don't want to get too comfortable, and also in your life and your role, you want to keep going forward.
Yeah. And
then also you don't want her being too overly comfortable either. You want a slight bit of mystery there so that, you know, she stays interested in you and what you're doing in life.
I think that healthy bit of jealousy is always good. I see that always as, you know, a very positive thing, especially from, you know, a female perspective. I see that as a very, very, very positive thing. And when it comes
I think it's necessary from the female's point of view, because that little bit of kind of curiosity or a slight question mark keeps them. Women need excitement, you know, and if you're just if she knows absolutely where you're going to be every waking minute and what you're going to be doing, and then it's too predictable for her. Women need to continually wonder a little bit, but at the same time, you want to keep it with, especially when you got a family and all, you need to keep it within certain tram lines.
Of course,
in my estimation. But that's, you know, everybody's got their own parameters, let's say, or maybe similar parameters, but how far you push those parameters might depend from man to man.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's definitely the mystery for a lot of women that creates just so much attraction, because far too many men, I think, and not just necessarily with women. I mean, you've had this with business partners, I'm sure. I'm certainly sure, because you've been in business for far longer than I have, and are much more successful than I am as well. But when it comes to also men in business, they're giving you far too much information and just talking about gibberish, rather than just kind of sticking just to, hey, this is what I'm doing, and then that's it, just being quiet. A lot of people just, I find they speak too much about the irrelevant things rather than just touching on the relevant things, say what the other person needs to know, and that's it. Why do you want everyone to know your business? Why do you want to know everyone to know who you are, where you're going to be? They don't need to. If they know that you're a capable man, you're able of protecting yourself, you're going in seeing Shaolin monks every once in a while, then you know that's going to give her and everyone else a little bit of confidence to know, okay, he's fine. I know he's fine. I don't need to check up on him. But every once in a while, they will anyway, just because well, they will if they care about you, right?
Yeah.
And I think that certainly for me is a very, very big filter that I have to see. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, everyone knows that I'm always going to be fine, because they've seen where I was before, or rather where I was before and where I am now. And everyone knows that I'm going to be fine. But the people that I love the most are the ones that call me, you know, even if it's just 3-4 times a year, right? And they're like, hey man, I'm so sorry, I've been so busy. I know that you've been so busy, or vice versa. It's like you and I, what we do is just that. And we're like, hey man, how are things? What's going on in your life? And then we sit down, and have that conversation. And bro, those conversations with the people that I love, it's going to be an hour, it's going to be 2 hours, it's a minimum of a half an hour conversation. And we're just like, oh shit, man, I've just missed a business meeting, I've just done this thing's just gone to hell. But I mean, what's it like for you in that sort of regard? I mean, do you think it's more the mystery that kind of gets people a little bit more interested in you, compelled to you? And what's it like for you with your friends and family?
I take your point that sometimes less is more. And yeah, like with my friends and family, like I'm pretty open with my friends and family about most things. So like there wouldn't be necessarily so much mystery there, but at the same time, you know, I love my friends, but as time goes on, our worldviews diverge, and I sometimes find it more difficult to talk to them these days about you know, various topics. But having said that,
what do you think that is?
Yeah, I think that there's it's like there's something in the water or something. There's a certain mindset that's abroad in the world at the moment, and you know, I'm not with it. I can't listen to the news anymore. I don't look at the news. I just, if something is, and I used to be an avid, you know, consumer of news, but now I if it's important enough, the news will find me, you know?
Yeah.
Because I just yeah, I've had it. One thing I've replaced it with is actually looking at what they were into in the various things that they were into in the ancient world, which is a recent fascination of mine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not that I can necessarily talk about it because it's all complicated and I don't necessarily know anything that's worth you know, me waffling about, but that's what I've done to kind of replace the messaging that's in the ether.
Yeah,
it's just replace it with kind of esoteric history about Atlantis, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, just it is, and for me as well. I mean, it fascinates me, and I have personally an extremely deep connection to ancestral bonds. You know, I think pretty much every single day, especially when I'm having one of those moments. You know what I mean? When you're sat there and you're just kind of just doodle dallying and you're not really doing much, and then all of a sudden there's like this almost different me that comes in, and it's just like, you think that your ancestors would be happy of you just twiddling your fingers watching some random bullshit on fucking YouTube right now when you have so much to do?
Yeah.
And you know, it's like you can't see obviously, but I don't think I've ever said this openly, but I have essentially the whole of my arm is covered in ancient symbols, tattoos, and so on. So I'm 100% with you there. So what is there like a particular civilization or technology or something that you learned that you were like, damn man, that's
excuse me. Yeah, look, just to go back to what you were saying there about the ancestors thing. Yeah, that's, first of all, that's a really good way to think, I think. Like, really good way to think. Because it's almost like it's a way of holding yourself accountable. And it's a great thought to have, because to think of all the struggles that your ancestors went through so that you could be here, you know, it's huge. I actually looked into a bit of mine, because I was at my uncle's funeral not so long ago, and I was talking to a kind of long lost cousin, and I was inquiring as to how the different spelling of our name in Irish was, and anyway, he pointed out that like some great grandfather insisted that it be spelt in a certain way.
okay.
And then he said, look this up, because they were famous. And I looked it up, and it's the Oleogs were high kings of Ireland, chieftains in the 12th century, out in Galway by the Shannon. They had something. So yeah, I'm putting that in my back pocket, 100%. Anyway, yeah, any particular aspects that I've been getting into? I was, like I say, I was listening to something when I was driving today about Atlantis, and then it just occurred to me that, you know, because it was supposed to have been in the Atlantic Ocean, I was like, oh, Atlantis. That's
Makes
you
sense.
know, mind blown. So, a lot of actually the kung fu stuff that talks about chi is actually one of the things that is a theme that's revisited when you look at the some of those ancient civilizations and the things that they placed importance on. So in Chinese medicine, and it's really heavy in kung fu, is that the concept of chi and of life force. In yoga,
so just to understand, so chi, for those that don't know, what's the sort of simple way of explaining what chi is, which is a very, I guess, deep question actually. But what would you say that it is within the Chinese or generally Asian philosophy?
So the actual literal translation of chi is steam, and that's kind of weird, isn't it? Because if you think about what are the four elements are water, fire, earth, and wind, right? Air. So steam is a combination of all of those things. So if you take fire, then you would take a pot made of earth, put water in the pot, and then when it mixes with the air, it creates steam. So it's the life force that's derived from the four elements that power your body. Like, what's the difference between someone who's alive and an inanimate corpse? It's the life force that's in it. So that's what chi is. And the reason why those Shaolin monks can do such spectacular things is because they base it all on chi. It's the chi that strengthens them and gives them power, right? So it also, there are parallels with yoga. It's called prana in yoga.
Yeah, prana.
And in the Hindu way of thinking, there are 7 chakras in the body, right? So the crown, the third eye, the thyroid, the throat, the heart, the solar plexus, then like just below your stomach, and then down below, right? So yeah. The thing is that with the Shaolin, it's the second one up that they breathe their chi into. They call it the dantian. It's just underneath your belly button. So they would, like, breathe up, and they say, like, you're not breathing in, you're breathing up, and you're not breathing out, you're breathing down. When you breathe down, your power goes to your dantian. That's where you store it, and that's where you would, like, do the moves from. And you can utilize that to give you extra power. And this is it's a bit crazy, because it's something that comes up time and time again in loads of different ancient societies, that they believed that there was this life force that you could harness to increase your vibration in life, like, yeah, like, make you healthier, make you live longer, and all manner of things. So
more powerful, more richer. I mean, it's a similar kind of concept, right? I mean, it's like, when was it? I forget when it was. Maybe 2006 or something. I'm too young still. I'm too young. I forget these things.
That's not a bad thing.
I can't complain. 27 going on 90 something. But when the Law of Attraction came out, and I know a lot of people love that book. I know a lot of people, like me personally, hate that book. I loved it at the start. I mean, it was one of my, I would say, inaugural books into a life of responsibility and success and happiness and love and of living. But it's the same kind of concept. And that book sort of draws from a lot of very old scriptures, very old lessons, philosophies from ancient cultures, and just kind of flip it. And it certainly is the case that if you are thinking well, the chances that everything else in your life and surrounding your life is going to therefore be well is much more likely. And I mean, I'm sure you know about cognitive bias as well, right? I mean, it's,
of course, yeah.
It's, if nothing else, I mean, it's a very basic concept. For those that don't know, if you believe something, your mind is constantly trying to confirm that belief, right? So, for example, if you think that something is bad, or you think that, for example, X type of person is bad, be that a man or a woman, be that a race or a creed or a religion or whatever you want, and you think that that type of person is bad, you could see 1,000 times over, you could physically see that type of person doing something incredible or nice that goes against your belief, and your mind filters, right?
Yeah.
I think it filters something. What is it, Grant? I'm sure that you know this. I think it's like
well,
two
yeah, we
terabytes.
recognize patterns. So yeah, we're more, if there's a pattern that we're looking out for, we're more likely to see it repeatedly and miss the other elements. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I actually read a good one of those type of books. Like for me, that law of attraction one, like, yeah, I get it, but it was kind of like the fast food version of a lot of other more substantive things. But there was a good one I came across recently called Psycho-Cybernetics.
Very good book.
You've read it, have you?
Yes.
I really enjoyed it.
Tell everyone about this book, because this book I truly and fundamentally believe every single human being, man or woman, needs to read it.
Can improve the quality of your life. You know, it's about excuse me, your self-image, and you know, look, it's very substantive, and it's a short enough book, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it's one of those books that you can actually use. Written by
don't do this to me. It's a Friday night.
Plastic surgeon. He's a plastic surgeon, so there are lots of interesting you know, tales about the fact that he's able to change somebody's self-image by changing their actual image. But for some people it didn't work, because even though they fixed whatever they thought was wrong with them, internally they still didn't correct what was going wrong. So that's why you got into, you know, the mind side of it, and it was great book. Another one I'm a big fan of is Meditations by Marcus Aurelius.
Oh, I love it. I was actually reading it.
Oh, look, we're reading the same ones. Okay, brilliant. I've read that for 20 years. I took that with me a long time ago, and it's always at the bedside, because it's one of those ones you can just pick up and just read a passage or two. Yeah, and like he says, meditate on it.
It's very deep, and that's what I love about it. But when it comes to Marcus Aurelius, I mean, what would you say, you know, after a super long, because how many employees is it that you guys were working with?
14 plus 24 plus 10. Hang on, I'm literally looking at my whiteboard now and doing a bit of maths.
Because you're working with something well over 100.
No, hang on, let me say the numbers there. 72.
No, I'm wrong. Look at that. But still, 72 employees, and so you're dealing with that just on a day-to-day basis. And then when you do finally go home, and you're like, man, that was a day and a half, and you just kind of open it up and you've looked just once. Is there any one specific passage or quote from it that just kind of was in the moment, was advice, almost as if it was poetically written in that moment for you, that you took away?
There's loads in that book, and you put me on the spot now. The only one that comes to mind is that, like, you know, one of the things is he wakes up in the morning and says, right, today the people that you meet are going to be selfish, rude, all the bad things. And he goes, but you go and do what you have to do anyway.
Yeah.
You know, and the bit about, like, why do I have to, why do I feel like I should lie in bed? Is it because lying in bed feels nice? No, it's because, like, I've got to do what I've got to do, in the same way that the earthworm does what he does and everything. You got to go and do your work. They're just ones that come to mind off the top of my head. It could be at any like that's a book that you could pick up, and the first thing that jumps off the page is most likely going to resonate with you in some way or another. And the mad thing is that he never meant that to be for public consumption. Those were his private journals.
Yeah.
You know, but it's one of the greatest pieces of literature of all time,
probably ever. And that's one of the fascinating things as well, which I think just generally about people, I'm super, super interested to hear your thoughts on this as well.
Mm-hmm.
But just in general about people, I think so many people that they say what they say behind closed doors, and they say it so freely and so unchained and uncensored and unfiltered that they are genuinely themselves.
Yeah.
And when you can be genuinely yourself outside, which is there's always some aspect of playing the game, because it's all player versus player, right? Life in general, and there are some things that you can't pass by. But I think for most modern men, do you think that they are not being their intrinsic, unapologetic, open and true selves nowadays?
Or I really do think that. I really do think that, because like I feel that there are a lot of people that feel the pressure of, it's like we were saying earlier, what other people think. And that goes especially to, what does my boss think? What is it, especially if somebody's gainfully employed and has a boss, they, to a certain extent, oftentimes feel that they have to play a certain role. And like, I don't know, frankly, I couldn't live my life like that. And that's why I have never had, well, not that I have never, of course I have, but I, for a large part of my life, have not had a boss. Comes down to kind of not wanting to have to answer to somebody, and not wanting to have to censor myself from, if I want to say whatever, because like I met just randomly, myself and my business partner there were having lunch there the other day, and this girl walks by who I hadn't seen since I was 20 years old, right? Because I was in college with her, and she walks by, so I stood up, said hello, big hugs and everything, right? Hadn't seen her in a long time, and she was a solicitor. I did law in college, right, back in the day, and she was a solicitor, and she's like, I've got 3 months left of being a solicitor, and then I'm packing it in. I'm burnt out. Everybody is. I'm not the only one. And I was like, really? And she said, did you practice? And I went, no, I never worked as a lawyer for a day. And she's like, oh my God, why didn't you tell us? Why didn't you tell it? And I was like, I don't know, but like, I kind of guessed it at the time, but, and like, it's one thing for a man, but like, she was a mother of 3. So it's a tough thing to be a successful lawyer and have 3 kids at home as well. But like, she's a lovely girl, and she seemed happy that she could see the end of the road there, and whatever else she goes on to do. So I think career is a thing that when people are on a career path that's already kind of designated, like they kind of know it from the jump what it's going to be like for the next, roughly speaking, for the next while, the next couple of decades. And in order to get where they want to go, they got to play the game, and you can't. And that's why I think you got all the feminine things men going on in society that you have today, is because people are too scared to go, no, I'm not playing that game. you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for you, was it because, man, you've been in the game for a very, very, very long time, right?
Yeah. 23
And
years.
20, it's essentially
I'm
the whole of my
43.
life.
I'm 43.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's say when I was 20, I
Yeah.
left college.
Left college at 20.
21.
And, but I mean, for a lot of guys that they're sat here now and they're like, oh shit, do I have to continue doing this for the rest of my life? Do I really want to become a lawyer and solicitor? Look at all of this craziness that I have to be doing. What made you leave? I mean, what was was it a slow amalgamation of things? Was it a boom moment?
I was actually lucky. And look, I've had those moments in my life where, you know, you're going, excuse me, where you're going, everybody's felt like that at some point. And that's good if you feel that type of pain, because that's the pain that will force you to make a change. I was lucky in a way, because when I was 22, I got a crazy job, which took me around the world, and it was a sales job. But it was a sales job unlike anyone I've seen before or since. And excuse me, I was basically working for a newspaper, but indirectly. So I was working for a company that produced inserts into a newspaper. So I worked for the Telegraph, but like at arm's length, because I worked for a company that put inserts into the Telegraph. And the inserts were country reports, how to do business in Kazakhstan, how to do business in Latvia, right? So what my job was to interview chief executives. And I would go in there with a pretty girl, right? And we were like suited up. So I'm 22, I'm a kid, going in suited and booted and doing these interviews, which were like newspaper interviews, but surreptitiously they were sales interviews. I'm getting the kind of sales arguments, and then the girl closes the guy for an ad. So we're selling advertising, which is like selling air. Because
genius, though. This is such a good lead gen tactic. This is insane.
Michael, it was a whole industry, but I don't know if it exists anymore. It was called the country reports industry. It was the most interesting. It was a wild adventure, right? And I then, one day, I'm sitting in the managing partner of PricewaterhouseCoopers invited myself and my colleague, who was the original ladies' man, we to the opera. And I was in the opera. There I am, sitting in the opera in Lithuania. And it just came to me like the Holy Ghost. It was like, I'm going to do this. I can write. I can do all. So I was thinking, what elements are included in producing these things? And then I went, trade magazines. I'm going to do it myself, start my own business. And then I did that. I did that for the next 15 years. And I went to 18 different countries, and I interviewed over 1,500 chief executives. And do you know what was great as well? Because the 5-star hotels, I would stay in all the 5-star hotels, right? But they wouldn't pay for the advertising. I just get room nights there instead. Mm-hmm. The same with rental cars as well. And I went everywhere, from Barbados to Hong Kong to Kazakhstan to Malaysia, Malta. It was a good time. I did that up until it was no longer viable. It just stopped working because the internet and everything. And I tried to make, but I like doing it, so I tried to make it work. and I just wasn't successful at that. So then I had to switch, and I went and I worked. I got a higher diploma in computer science, and I went and built software for stock exchanges, and then now I do home care, so taking care of people in their own homes, older people in their own homes. That's the business I'm in now. But I do that.
It's crazy to me because so many people that we meet, you probably have the same thing, where they're like, wait, hold on a second, weren't you just doing that, Grant? Weren't you just doing that thing, computer science? Oh no, you were in sale. Oh no, hold on, no, wait, no, he was learning law. No, and why? Because I think I'd love to hear why you think you've just gone ahead and essentially just said, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to try and do as many different things as possible, and until I find the thing that either works or that works and that I love at the same time, which you, in your case, with your current business, you've done that very, very well, because it brings you so much joy, brother. It brings you so much joy.
Well, look, it's a job like any others. I'm hoping that this one, with the taking care of older people in their own homes, that's the one that when I get to the pearly gates, that I've one list on one hand and one list on the other. I might get past. It might let me through based on that, hopefully. But yeah, it's great work that they do. So it's nice to be involved with it. Yeah.
It really is just fascinating, and I'm sure that everyone after this conversation, I'm pretty sure that there's going to be more comments from this conversation than any other uploaded onto YouTube or Rumble, and there's going to be so many more questions about who you are. Again, hopefully next time when you haven't killed yourself with a Shaolin monk, that would be even better, because it's always a pleasure to speak to you, and you know that very, very, very
likewise
well.
Michael, likewise.
All right, brother. Well, look, I really genuinely appreciate the time, especially it being a Friday night today, so thank you even more. And yeah, we'll hop on one of these again. We'll see what the comments are.
Yeah,
let everyone drop something in, drop a couple of questions down in the comment box below. Grant, if you want people, do you first want people to follow you on social media or anywhere? Where can someone find you?
Well, I've got Instagram, which is Grant, GRANT .Olaog. So it's OLAODHOG.